Yo, what is up, you guys? It is your boy Zeta here, back at it again to drop part 2 for What If Deku Had Black Air Force Energy. Now, it is currently 9:41 p.m. right now, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I've had a very exhausting day. But when I got home and I saw that you guys ended up smashing the 2,000, yes, I repeat, 2,000 like goal that I had set on the last video, oh my god, like, you guys absolutely abolished the like button. Like, I didn't even know you guys could hit that. Honestly, I set the like goal to 2,000 because I simply was like, yeah, this series probably not gonna do well, and I immediately just braced myself for it, and I set a pretty high like goal just so you guys wouldn't get it. But oh my god, 13k views in one day and 2,000 likes. You guys are clearly loving this series. That being said, this is going to be marking the ending for What If Deku Had Black Force Energy, though, because of the nature of which I am taking the story in its direction. Trust me, boys, you guys are gonna love this ending. I put a lot of time and effort into the ending, so I do hope you guys enjoy this series. And with that being said, I don't want to waste your guys' time, so with that being said, I'm gonna play the intro. So hit it. Okay, we pick off our story where we had last left off. Deku would see Kurogiri from the corner of his eye, and he would then smile as he would think, "So, you come to pick me up so soon, huh? Couldn't let me stay in here for a while after you saw what I did, could you?" As Kurogiri would say, "My master has requested to see you." He would say, "Will you come?" As Deku would say, "What does it look like? Does it look like I want to stay in here?" As Kurogiri would kind of nod his head in like any way. I mean, he can't really nod his head, but you know what I mean. Kurogiri would kind of nod his head. As Deku would step right in the portal, Deku would then arrive right before All For One. As immediately All For One would look at Deku's direction, and he would immediately begin to clap and say, "If it isn't the boy made of miracles, you single-handedly defeated the symbol of peace, as well as countless of the nations of Japan's best pro heroes. And you fought for a total of, what was it, 4 or 5 hours, was it again?" As Deku would look at All For One, he would say, "You know damn well what the answer to that question is. It was 5. All For One would look at him as he would chuckle under the mask, and he would then say, right. Anyways, you're not here to hear about how great you are. I propose an offer for you. You can either rot in jail for the rest of your life, or you can do something about these great abilities that you have. Join me, and by my side, we will become the most powerful beings on this planet. Not a single person will tell us what to do. Not a single person will tell us where we can do things. We will be gods among men." Deku would look at All For One as he would smile, and All For One would proceed to continue praising Deku, as he would tell him that alone he was able to accomplish so much. Now just imagine what he can do with him by his side, an entire army by his side. He was able to go toe to toe with All Might, something that not even he was able to do when he attempted it. Deku would chuckle and say, "So, think you're about as strong as All Might, do you?" Deku would say, "Looks like I'll have to put you to the test sometime." All For One would chuckle and say, "Is that a yes?" And Deku would look at him as he would say, "Looks like I don't really got a choice, right? I guess it's a yes, but don't get your hopes up too high." As he would walk past All For One, he would say, "Now, where am I going to be staying?" He would lean by the wall, and he would then see a couple of rooms in the hallway, as well as a laboratory. Deku would walk inside of the lab, and this is when he would see a doctor. Spoiler warning, he would see Dr. Ujiko in his lab, as Deku would say, "Huh. You know, it's funny. Aren't you that same man that told me I was going to be quirkless when I was a child?" The man would look at Deku as he would chuckle and say, "Your power is in a quirk. You have something far more special. That day I was trying to take you from your mother, but it seems as if I wasn't going to be needed for that, now was I?" Deku would chuckle as he would then grab the doctor by the throat and say, "If you would have ever tried to lay a hand on me, I would have put you 6 feet underground that very same day." All For One would grab Deku by the shoulder and say, Now, we wouldn't want to hurt our subordinates, now would we?" As Deku would look at All For One and say, "I guess not." He would drop him, and it's at this point that basically while all this is basically happening, it would become public news that Deku would have basically been fighting with pro heroes for hours on end, and that, well, Deku just completely went off the rails. Like, Deku not only like did all the things that happened, but he literally broke out of prison, and this would just go widespread. It would be all over the news. People would be finding out all over the world, and people of Japan would start freaking out like, All Might, our symbol of peace, defeated by a child. And Inko would be in tears as she would be thinking about what her baby is doing. I mean, yeah, maybe he wasn't around the best environment growing up, and maybe she wasn't the best mother she could have been, but she never thought that something like this would be the life that her son would lead. They changed the place that they live for Deku to have a better chance, for Deku to not end up like her, working 3 jobs to finally make ends meet. But Deku had other plans. This is when Deku would tell All For One that he cannot live this life without his mother, so he needs him to take care of that for him. All For One would smile as he would say, "It shall be done." And the very next day, Inko would get kidnapped, as she would then be transported to another place, given a separate identity as well as all the money she would need for the rest of her life. And she would also be given a letter to which Deku would have wrote for her, telling her that he's sorry for where things are going to be going now, however that she'll be living a great life by herself. And Inko would just tear up as she would see that message and, well, never be seen again. This is when Deku would start to become All For One's golden boy. Shigaraki is great. He's Nana's grandson and all. And yeah, maybe his quirk has potential to be great. However, Deku is on a completely different level. If that power is honed to its utmost upper limit and it is trained in the proper way, his quirk has limitless potential. And All For One can see that. Anyone who isn't blind can see that. And All For One, he's going to take full well advantage of Deku. That being said, this is when Deku's training would start. And during the time that Deku would be training, Shigaraki would take note of Deku. He would have a very clear disdain for Deku off rip, just due to the fact that his master is seen praising somebody other than him. That seems to rub Shigaraki in the wrong way, and he makes that very clear. However, one day when Deku was training, just punching a boxing bag, he would have ended up ripping through his 5th one in the week, as Deku would be punching through one that is compressed of full steel within it, and the bag is made of some material which is extremely difficult to rip. However, Deku would just clear this boxing bag. Shigaraki would come in, as Deku would have hung up the next level to his training, and he would proceed to decay the bag that Deku was about to use. Deku would take off the gloves, and he would then say, "You know what, I've been meaning to pick a bone with you. What's your problem, boy? You seem to have a big problem with me, don't you? Why don't you do something about it?" Shigaraki would proceed to look at Deku as he would get an evil grin on his face, and he would then rush at Deku as he would say, "You stole my master." Deku would look at Shigaraki and say, "No, I didn't steal him from you, but I will soon," as Deku would punch Shigaraki square in the jaw, completely dislocating it. Deku would sweep Shigaraki's leg, and Deku would start to basically bash his head in with a metal bat. Shigaraki would be left in an unconscious, bloody state, as Dr. Ujiko would have to rush Shigaraki into the doctor's office and have to basically heal him immediately with the best quirks that he has available to himself. Shigaraki would have even had to have gotten some metal parts implanted, and All For One would have been very upset with Deku. He would tell him why he hurt his student, as Deku would say that he started it. He tried to decay him. All For One would look at Deku and say, looks like his services will no longer be needed. He would look at Dr. Ujiko as he would tell him that it's time, as he would walk over to Shigaraki's body and steal the quirk of decay from Shigaraki. This is when Deku would look at All For One and say, "We have a new successor." He would put his hand over Deku's forehead, and Deku would fall onto his knees, as the pain that he would feel from getting a quirk transferred would be tremendous. All For One would be smiling, as Deku, after having all the pain end after a brief 10 seconds, would feel invigorated. The power of a quirk coursing through his veins is so utterly powerful. This quirk decay without any limit and without just without Shigaraki's body, someone who can properly use it, it's an absolute monstrous quirk. I don't know if any of you guys have seen the manga, but if you have, you know Decay's potential. That being said, Deku is going to be utterly broken. And Deku, well, you know, he's going to be very aware of that. That being said, All For One would not only have granted Deku Decay, but he would have also ended up granting him other quirks, such as an enhancement quirk and a speed quirk. Deku's body, you may be like, yo, how is he supporting all of these quirks? Dude, Deku has Black Air Force energy, bro. Deku quite literally has no regard for anybody's life around him, and Deku is just a Black Air Force, bro. Like this man is dangerous. He's a menace to society. That being said, this is when Deku would continue with his training, and this is when Stain, the hero killer, would be recruited. The day of the Nomu incident would have of course happened, not the USJ, seeing as Shigaraki was taken care of beforehand. The UA school festival would happen a little bit on the same time, seeing as they didn't have the 1 week break, and well, school would have gone shut down for a week on the period of time which Deku fought against the heroes. Sorry boys, I'm a little tired since, you know, I'm kind of used to passing out at around 10, so even though I said it's 9, most of you guys are probably like, that's amateur stuff. I go to sleep at 5 and I wake up at 7. But you know, me, I'm kind of used to going to sleep early and waking up early as well, because you know, school just started for me, which is why I'm barely giving you guys 1 video a day. If it wasn't for school, I'd probably be pumping up maybe 3 or 2 at this point. But you know, that aside, this is when Deku would continue his training, and Stain would begin to train Deku in, well, the art of the sword, as well as hand-to-hand combat, and refining Deku's already great combat prowess. Deku would continue to train with Stain. However, Deku would find that swords are not really his thing. Deku would ask All For One to try a different weapon out, something that he was never allowed to use at the hero school. He wants to try advanced weaponry. And if you get what I'm saying, he's trying to use that strap. Deku's trying to use a strap. He's trying to be, you know, he's trying to be strapped up with a little some on his waist, right? And yeah, Deku basically proceeds to get a little weapon of sorts that Deku is definitely going to be using a lot later on. That being said, Deku would continue with his training and such, and Deku would get even more powerful as the days go on. This is when, of course, UA would have barely been getting over their whole entire situations. The Nomu incident would be happening, and at this current point, they would be having the forest training arc begin. This is when Deku would basically be training with All For One, and this is when Deku would walk into Dr. Ujiko's office after a long day of training. He would ask Dr. Ujiko what exactly he does in this lab and what are those creatures within the tubes. The doctor would look at Deku and say that doesn't concern you. As Deku would quite literally flash what he has on his waist, the doctor would look at him and say, you wouldn't hurt me even if you wanted to. All For One would tear you limb from limb. Deku would look at the doctor as he would say, I'm more powerful than he will ever be. More powerful than All Might will ever be. That man, he's nothing but scum, a pebble on the road of greatness which I am on. And you are going to tell me right now what is in those tubes. As Dr. Ujiko would look at Deku, he would step back as he would fall onto the ground, and Deku would aim the pistol right on Dr. Ujiko's head as he would say, now talk. Deku would aim it at his head, as this is when he would finally begin to squeal. As Deku would say, very interesting project you seem to be working on. Very soon I'm going to be needing you to work on something very similar on my body. I need to become the ultimate machine of destruction and chaos. This world will be under my control, and I will have the world on the palm of my hand. There will be nobody who will be able to stop me. Not even All Might, not the heroes, and definitely not Midnight or Aizawa. Those two are the ones who made me get put in this position to have to be here. But no more. Tonight, that's all gonna change. This is the night where the forest training stuff would basically be going on. And it's at this point that, well, right now, All Might would basically be going through a lot of stuff, seeing as well a student was literally able to go hand was literally able to go, he was able to run the ones with All Might, bro. Like, this man was literally able to run the ones with All Might and beat him. So people are just terrified of what's to come, and the students are on high alert, meaning that it'll be a lot harder to get to the forest training arc this time. That being said, this is when they would be wondering what's up with Deku, and All Might and the rest of the people, seeing as they still don't know about the League of Villains, would not exactly even be the wiser to what Deku has happened going on, or who even broke Deku out of jail. That being said, this is when Deku would basically proceed to arrive to the forest, to the forest place with the Vanguard Action Squad. And this is when all hell would break loose. They would proceed to go absolute ham on all of the bystanders, all of the students, all of the animals in the forest, and immediately Dabi would set the forest ablaze as many animals would begin to run around. This is when Koda would notice the weird aura around the air as he would realize and tell everybody what's going on. Aizawa, All Might, the Wild Pussycats, everybody would be on high alert due to the fact that, well, they know what's coming. It's Deku. And Bakugo would get filled with fear as he would hear that name. Deku. Before, he was scared of Deku, yeah. But before, Deku was nothing but a man. There was a point in time where Bakugo would believe that maybe, with just enough training, he could catch up to All Might. But now, All Might is just a stepping stool to what Deku might have became. And All Might definitely trained as well, so All Might is even more powerful than the one that we had in the original canon that fought against All For One. Even more strength is within that frail body of a man that All Might had. He had exactly 1 month to train. Actually, I believe it was 2 months before the the sports festival and the forest training arc stuff ended up happening. So I'm just gonna say 2 months, right? All Might had a bit of time to train his body up and learn some martial arts. So, that being said, they would all go in there, and this is when all hell would break loose. Immediately, an all-out war between both sides. The heroes, the villains would start to ensue as Dabi would immediately rush at Todoroki. He would take care of ruining Todoroki's life and Endeavor's greatest possession. Todoroki, his final product, the thing that Endeavor strive for so much. Perfection. The son that was supposedly going to defeat the symbol of peace someday. He's gonna rip every shred of hope that man once had, and nothing will stand in his way of that. That being said, Toga, the followers of Stain himself would handle the wild cats, and this is when they would all just go out on an all-out battle. It's at this point that Aizawa would actually end up being handled by none other than Kurogiri. Kurogiri would teleport behind Aizawa, put him through a portal, and teleport him right before Deku and All For One. He would immediately deactivate both of their quirks, and this is when Deku would kick Aizawa straight in the jaw, sending him crashing away at the wall, saying, "You think I need a quirk to beat you? My powers aren't some sort of quirk that can be turned on and off. That little thing that you did to me before, that was a placebo effect. I thought I was getting weaker due to the fact and the nature of your quirk, but now I see that I'm greater than that. I'm a god." Deku would look at Aizawa as he would say, "And there's no one who's gonna get in my way. Not you, not Midnight, and definitely not All Might." He would rush at Aizawa as he would immediately snap his neck, and this is when he would end up handling the greatest threat that stood before him. Now, the only one that could potentially rival Deku is Midnight. And it's at this point that Deku would basically have a very familiar sight crashing down from the sky. It was All Might. All Might would come flying in from the skies as he would land right before All For One and Deku. He would look at Deku as he would say, "Listen, young Midoriya, you do not have to do this. You were spared once before, you will be spared again. However, you will need to face consequences for your actions. Come back, young Midoriya. You have a future as a hero. You do not need to become this villain. Don't let that man warp your sense of justice. You had a sense of justice. You saved that girl. Please, tell me that some of that still lives within you." Deku would look at All Might as he would walk over to him and say, I think I think you're full of it, as he would punch All Might square in the gut, sending a hole straight through All Might's gut. All Might would fall to his knees as he would say and Deku would then look at All Might as he would chuckle as All For One and Deku would stare right before All For One, right before All Might. As Deku would look at All For One would say, "Allow me." Deku would say, "Certainly." And it's at this point that All For One would pierce All Might straight through the heart with his tendrils, the black ones that he uses against All Might in the normal fight. This is when Deku would be standing right behind All For One, as Deku would pierce All For One straight through the heart, and All For One would turn towards Deku's direction as he would say, "Why? You could have been a king. You could have ruled this world alongside me." And Deku would look at All For One as he would begin to laugh. He would laugh hysterically as he would say, "Now, you're funny, man. Why would I work for you and be a pawn to you when your entire army could be mine? When I could take control of the entirety of Japan? And why stop there? I can take control over the entirety of this pathetic earth. Everybody will bow down to me, and I will be the supreme ruler of this world. There will be nobody and nothing which will be able to stand in my way. And people like you, they'll be a memory of the past. There will be nobody alive in my utopia which will be able to stand in my way. And there will be nothing but chaos, where the strong will strive and the weak will perish. That is a perfect world." As Deku would laugh hysterically, he would then look at All For One as he would stomp his head in, and this is when Deku would just start laughing maniacally, as he would rush in there and he would begin to go insane, going on a complete rampage on all of the students, and each and every single one of the heroes would just be completely GG'd. Deku would look at the villains as he would say, "You're all under brand new management, and whoever has something to say about it, speak up now." This is when Toga would have actually been one to say, "We're not going to listen to you. You're about my age as well. Why should I listen to you?" Deku would immediately proceed to blitz her and just crush her head in with both of his hands. He would have quite literally blitzed her right in front of her, and with both of his arms, he would have just crushed Toga's skull right into itself. As people standing around him, including Stain, would just back up, as they would immediately just see that Deku is on a completely different level. This is when a brand new era, an era of Black Air Force energy would be I can't even believe that I'm doing this. An era of Black Air Force energy would begin, and Deku would become the ruler of this new society. And that is how What If Deku Had Black Air Force energy would end. That would have ended up happening in the canon story. Definitely let me know what you guys thought of this series. It was something quite different. I know sometimes I have done these endings where Deku kind of just becomes evil and he kind of just completely takes over the world or something like that. I know that like I've definitely done paths like that, and I've done things, quite similar. However, honestly, I feel like this one was a little different and just more dope than the ones that I've done before, because like Deku with Black Air Force energy, it's not like the normal ones where Deku, he's a villain and he has a reason to. This Deku quite literally doesn't have a reason to do anything that he does. He quite literally just does the things that he does because he can, and nobody's gonna tell him no, because if they do, they're gonna get their stuff rocked. They are definitely not going to get back up if they try to test Deku. Deku does what he does because he can do it, and that's pretty much as blunt as it'll basically get. That being said, though, guys, I do hope you guys enjoyed this series. It'd be pretty dope if we could get 1,000 likes for this one, just because, I'd appreciated it. You guys were able to get 2,000 likes. I imagine that at least 2,000 of you are going to be coming back. So if even half of you guys can leave a like on this video, I would appreciate the ever-living soul out of you, because just come on now, bro. Like, 1,000 likes on a video definitely helps me out with YouTube's algorithm. That being said, though, guys, you guys all know the drill. I love each and every single one of you guys. It has been your boy Zether, and I am out. Peace.